Welcome everyone to the SVK Network. We have a great show lined up today on really what you need to know around the Canada's ban on single-use plastics out there. We got two amazing ladies here on the show today that I would call them experts in the field and definitely know their stuff when it comes to this subject. So we're going to talk about this today and really look at this opportunity that we're going to shift towards to really around an eco-friendly alternatives that are out there. We're going to talk a little bit about what you need to know as you operate your restaurant, as you move forward through this year, because I think by the end of December, you're going to have definitely have your plan in place because I believe you can't use the products come January 1st. But the question is, what is it? Where is it? What products? All that good stuff. But we're going to invite these ladies in right now, and we're going to have a great conversation around this and talk a little bit about this ban that's coming up. And I think it's very good to listen, take some notes, and also know that as much as the information we're going to talk about today, it may change right away as we know things change when it comes to these kind of policies and bans that come into our industry. So anyways, I'm going to bring these ladies in and they can introduce themselves. All right. So all the way from White Rock, BC. I think I said that right. Right, Dale?
You did.
And Sherry, I forgot. You're in Toronto?
I am located north of Toronto myself.
That's right.
You're
in Barrie. Barrie. Are you in Barrie?
Outside of Barrie. Yeah. Springwater.
Outside of Barrie. Springwater.
Sounds pretty, doesn't it?
Awesome. It does. It's a good place for bottled water.
No.
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 Awesome. Well, can I have you ladies introduce yourself? So Dale, can you introduce yourself, where you work from? Just give us a little bit of credibility here so
Sure.
that people know who's going to be on the show today.
Dale Quadros. I work with Sabert. I've been with Sabert Corporation for a little over 8 years. My background in food service was one time I was a restaurateur in the Edmonton area. And then I also have worked in the industry for about 23 years, formerly with a broker, then a distributor, and now with a manufacturer. And I've always specialized in packaging.
Awesome. So you're an expert.
I still got lots to learn.
Well, I know Sherry's an expert too. Sherry, give us a little bit of your background.
Sure. I'm. Thank you, Jay, for having us here today. I'm Sherry Cuthbert. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing for Gallimore Products. Our office is located in Toronto, and I've been in the food service industry with Gallimore for about 5.5 years now. Previously, I was with Cisco Canada for 13 years. And I've been in the food service industry for a long time. It's 1986.
86?
1986.
Since Expo.
Since Expo.
Yeah.
Well, Dale, you don't do that because then I go, wow, I was a little kid at Expo.
Yeah, don't say things like that.
Don't do that.
But very happy to be here today and talking about the single-use plastic bans with Dale and yourself.
Yeah, you know what? It's awesome. You both are two different companies out here, and I appreciate you both coming on the show today, lowering the flags of who we are, the companies that you represent in a way. But you are saying more about who you are and your companies are because of us having this conversation. So first of all, thank you on that. I want to open up the questions to both of you on this. What is this plastic ban? Who wants to kick this off on this plastic ban? What is this single-use plastic ban? And why now? Who wants to start?
Well, I think our Canadian government really wanted to make some broad strokes into curtailing what we see is a global problem. Some of these initiatives have already been tested in the European markets, and they've been very successful. And what kind of kicked this off is it's identified that the sensors on the recycling conveyor belts cannot detect black resins because the belts are black. So even though us as consumers are doing our due diligence and putting these containers into our blue bin programs municipally, they're not necessarily going where they should be destined to go. So we've had this false sense of security that we were working in a circular economy, but really behind the scenes, it was not.
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. So it's that is a big part of it. Wow.
That's the huge part. And, part of the problem with this is that us as manufacturers, we take great pride in using post-consumer recycled materials. Sabert actually owns its own recycling facility, Nuvita, and we actually buy colored polypropylene and we grind it down and turn it into FDA food grade pellet, and we sell it to the market and we use it in our own regrind. The reason why we use black is so that we can take all sorts of colors of inputs and be able to give it a consistent look. If you just take that recycled material and you thermoform it, what happens is it comes out all streaky, almost like it's got strings in it and things like that. It's not very attractive. So to have post-consumer recycled material and to reduce and reuse, it's almost a necessary in our formulations.
Wow. That's crazy. I had no idea. So I want to throw, like, you guys, first of all, I have lots of questions, tons of them here. So I'm going to throw this to Sherry. Sherry, is all single-use plastics banned? Are they all?
No, they're not. And there's there's confusion out there. We were chatting before the show started, Jay, about seeing TikTok videos saying that now all single-use plastics are being banned in Canada. And that's put out by people who think they understand everything that's going on. And we get a lot of questions from customers, from people just in general saying, I understand that all single-use plastics are being banned now. What are we going to do about it? And that's not the case. There are a handful of items that are being banned, and it's being banned on a graduated process. It's really the start of the process. There's good reasoning for it. And it seems like a very daunting task to understand what items are being banned and what my alternatives are. But that's why we're here having that conversation today to try and clear up some of the miscommunication that's out there.
Sorry, go ahead, Sherry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Jay. I was going to say there's six categories of plastic, single-use plastics that are being banned. Plastic checkout bags, so the big takeaway bags, plastic cutlery, food service ware, basically foam cups, bowls, plates, clamshell containers.
So those white cups, Sherry, those white cups, those little white cups that we used to have the coffee in back at Expo 86.
Foam cups.
Those ones.
Those foam cups.
Those ones we used to water, used to poke in, used to use them for crafts.
Yes, that you would put beans in and grow things. Yeah, those plastic straws, plastic stir sticks, and ring carriers. So the rings that go around the beverage containers.
Wow.
Those are the 6 categories of product that are being banned. And there's detail within each of those categories that identify what within those categories are being banned. But items like garbage bags, cling film, foil wrap, poly bags that are used in portioning back of the house in a restaurant, those are still allowed. It's just a very specific group of items that are being banned.
Now I'll throw sorry, Sherry. I want to throw a question both to you, because I want to get back on those bags and things like that, because those garbage bags and stuff, because I don't know. I don't want to say that doesn't make sense, but I get it. But do you think one day we will get to a point where we'll have to consider those bags, like the garbage bags?
Perhaps. Like I said, this is the start.
Like a phase.
Right? We do know that the government, their intention, and we're speaking based on what we know. We're not part of the government, Dale and myself. We both work for manufacturers. So we know we have the information that's available to us, but we do know that this is the start of something that is going to continue down the line. So a year from now, it's probably going to look different. There may be other items that have been banned, I'm guessing here. There may be modifications to the information that's been put out there to date. It's going to evolve.
Now, it will evolve, right? And Dale, do you want to comment on that? Do you believe that as well?
Oh, I truly believe it. I mean, we definitely need to look at resources, what we're using. I mean, we've been in this business, both Sherry and myself, long enough to know that, 20 years ago, we thought paper was bad for the environment. And there was a big push to get rid of paper bags in our industry and
Yes.
convert everybody over to resin-based products. And I think what really gets missed in a lot of this is what is the actual carbon footprint when you're manufacturing goods. 20 years ago, making paper products was 5 times the energy. We had deforestation that was a systemic problem in our markets. Now with better forestation practices and manufacturing practices, a lot of those carbon footprint issues have been greatly reduced. We still have things like large case cube and cube weight going to market that definitely is heavy. Like when you look at, say, even 1,000 t-shirt bags in a box, it's a 1 foot case cube. Whereas, it's probably a 3 foot cube for 100 paper bags of the same size.
Oh.
So, it's a huge problem, whether it's back of house for operators, whether it's for freight going to different markets. So we have a lot of operators too that are also looking for more locally sourced items for a lot of those reasons, and in trying to incorporate that in their sustainability best practices. So yes, I definitely see things, going back. The problem is does every market have these items? Here in Canada, we are very resource rich, but it doesn't necessarily mean like Saskatchewan and Alberta and Manitoba certainly don't have the forestry product industry that we have out west. So I think we're always looking for something that is less impactful in our environment.
Do you find that so I want to get because I want to bring this to the operator side for the restaurateurs out there. Is this going to be something that restaurateurs are going to find? Like, is the alternatives going to be there for the restaurateurs that we get through this?
Yes and no.
I like that.
Some items, yes, depending on weight. Like if you're serving something that is pasta and saucy and you're using third-party delivery, the reason why resin-based products have been fantastic is because they stay shut and they transport well. Sometimes when you're going into, say, a paperboard product, it may not have the same strength and durability. Same with some of the pulp. There's a big focus of removing PFAS from pulp in the last couple of years. And that's what gave you a moisture and grease barrier. So now some foods don't transport as well since we've removed that additive from the formulation. And you also have to net out food waste. Food waste has been a huge topic in our industry, restaurant and retail. Resin-based products have been key and instrumental in extending shelf life, in allowing things to be processed off-site in a more financially stable manner, stackability when they're showcasing products. So I truly believe there are pluses and minuses, and an operator has to assess their business footprint and decide what is going to work financially for them. So Sherry, do you think that there will be some supplier challenges on this as we go through?
I do. I've always encouraged anybody I've spoken to on the operator side to, let's have those conversations now. Let's try to help you find items that will work for you. So some of the challenges that Dale just pointed out about, maybe they're used to using a plastic item for transporting their saucy foods through third-party delivery. There are alternatives that will work. The operator may not be aware of them yet. So that's where we need to have those conversations, whether it's with their Cisco rep or whether it's with, directly with the manufacturer, the vendor, whatever you want to call us. So there's a lot more conversation happening now between the operator world and the vendor world, and looping in the Cisco rep about, okay, this is what I use now. This is what I've seen. I don't like it. What else do you have? And quite frankly, from the vendor side, we're, and I'll speak on behalf of all vendors right now, that we're being more creative than we ever have been to try to come up
Dale's going, oh yeah,
with solutions that will work for the operator, that will fit within the government guidelines, and also taking our crystal balls out and thinking, these items been banned now. What do we think is going to happen next? Because it's crystal ball time. We don't know, but we can see some indications as to what might be banned in future.
So so you must get phone calls nonstop right now.
Yes.
From companies asking,
Yes,
and Dale's going, oh yeah. So what are those conversations happening? What are people asking you? Like, what's the restaurateur calling you and asking right away?
So they're asking, what are the alternatives? Is product available? How much more is it going to cost? Are you going to let me down? And that's where I really try to have that conversation. And I know I'm being a little repetitive, but let's talk about it. Let's find something that will work for you. Let's talk about quantities that you need, so we know what to make for you, so we don't let you down. So it's become a tighter relationship between the operator and the vendor than it ever has. And there's a lot more conversations. We're all really busy. Everybody is. And the conversations are great, I must say. They're very positive for the most part. It's not an easy task to go through these changes. It's not for anybody. But for the most part, the conversations have been very positive, and with the end goal of trying to find the right solution that will work within the guidelines that we have to live with right now.
I think too, it's been difficult for a lot of manufacturers also because, we manufacture for our market in the United States, and the legislation is very different down there than it is here in Canada. And so, what are the right products that are going to work in the market that are going to make sense to manufacture, right? In the US, it goes state by state. And, even in Canada, we've seen where municipalities are still putting extra measures. Like in Montreal, we've seen additional measures to the bans on top of what.
Really? Like there's like on top of what? Oh, wow.
Yes, correct. And, when you look at Canada and our infrastructure for recycling and even composting, we are still a bit cart before the horse. We don't have major centers in every major city across Canada. And, when it comes to things like compostable products, in some of the more eastern provinces, that's not an easy thing. Here in the West, it's easy for us to do aerobic composting because our climate cooperates with us. Yeah. But, when you get back east, you're looking at building huge indoor facilities to control compostables. So, I think we had to make a step in the right direction. Was it the right step at the right time for operators? Probably not, coming out of a pandemic and giving them something else to worry about. But like everything else, right? We always have to change. We always have to innovate, and we always have to be thinking forward. And that's what this legislation is doing.
Do you think how long it will take it to become? Because I remember this with the trans fat. When we introduced the ban on trans fat in our oils, I'm not even going to relate it at this level because That's nothing in my mind compared to how significant this is, because the pandemic fueled takeout, and we saw all these different things happening. And I may agree with you. It's probably not the right time right now, but it's that argument when is kind of thing. But um, do you think that this will take 6 months, a year to get people to flush through all the products they're using now, or do they have to stop at the end of December and not use plastics and move completely over? Is there like a rule, like boom, or can they use some of it?
Plastics though, and that's the misinformation. I think people feel that it is all resin-based products. It's not. PET. You can still have polypropylene in our market. It just cannot be colored with black. So clear is acceptable. Red, blue, green, purple is acceptable.
Purple.
Yeah.
And all those colors. Seriously.
I've actually seen purple in a supermarket. Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Just the black. Now, polystyrene, which manufacturers love because the carbon footprint to manufacture it is minuscule in comparison. However, it is a difficult to recycle resin. So wow. That was, you used to see a lot of things like your yogurt cups, your individual serving size roller cups, or if you got, say, a wine glass when you were out, a disposable wine glass, and it was kind of crunchy, that would have been polystyrene. Those have been eliminated from the market, both extruded and like the foam aerated. We are banning those for the simple reason that they are difficult to recycle. They are not something that currently goes into our blue bin system. We don't capture those in Canada. We never have.
So do you think so back to both of you on this, do you think there'll be fines issued if people are using those?
Yes.
Really, Sherry? There'll be fines?
Yeah, I have not seen a list, but I do have a very reliable resource that has shared some of the detail about the fines. And let's face it, it's going to be hard to monitor. However, as a restaurant, if I were a restaurant operator, I wouldn't want that added burden of having.
No. Not nowadays with social media.
Yeah.
Either exactly. Nowadays, social media, right?
Exactly. But yes, there will be fines levied if somebody is caught, restaurant operator, using the banned item after the cutoff dates. So I think a lot of the manufacturer who have to discontinue products are going to discontinue them rather quickly if they haven't already.
Wow.
My company doesn't do foam products, but I'm going to hazard a guess that anybody who's been making a foam product, they're going to want to get it out of it as quickly as possible, because that manufacturer doesn't want to be stuck with product having in their warehouses after the cutoff dates. So they're flushing it out as quickly as possible, selling it off, and stopping production as quickly as possible. This is all happening now.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
So I have a question for both of you on this then. So if I'm a restaurateur and I know this is coming and I have a banned product in that I use, but I love it. It's one of my favorite. It's black. It's funny you say black, Dale, because I remember how many years I spent converting people from white to black. So when you said that, I was like, oh boy. Yep. So I have this product. It's black. I love it to death. And I'm going to fill a warehouse full of it. Is that a good thing to do?
Only if you can use it by December 20th of 2023. Anything after that. So like with our company, we actually cannot ship into Canada as of December 20th, 2022. So I still have customers that have, said, well, can you send me a sample? We are, we have actually locked all of those codes in our system. We still have partners that, occasionally will forget and it'll come on a PO, and, we are working with them on a case by case scenario to go, okay, we can't ship it across the border anymore. What you have in your inventory, you have until the end of, December 20th to utilize it. And then after that, it has to go away.
Wow. So don't, because I think I told you both that I did run into a friend that has a restaurant. He bought a warehouse full of stuff. He's got to use it up right away.
Use it.
Yeah, that's scary.
You might want to start wholesaling that out to other restaurateurs just to make sure he's not caught with it. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to be caught as a distributor or a manufacturer doing that, because I'm sure the fines, if they're going after the end user, the fines for the other ones are going to be quite significant as well.
Yeah, they would be.
And they'll be watching it. I guarantee it. I think it was like the trans fat part was, I believe there was a few people, but they became like the poster child of like the media went there, and they'll make an example off of someone off of this. So you don't want to be that example, right? They definitely will. And I have to say, because it is government related, we always know the government wants to show and flex their muscles and these kind of things as well. So they'll be definitely monitoring and watching it because it's an environmental component, right?
Yeah.
So looks like we're doing
it's a
something
big initiative, and it's a very serious initiative. So
it's incredibly serious. Yeah. So what are some things that you would say to an operator right now as they're owning a restaurant right now? And I got all these things, and I'm working with my rep on different things right now, or I haven't started anything right now because I'm busy working on my menu for the spring. What would you say to operators right now? Dale, do you want to start us off on this?
Sure. I mean, one of the first questions I always ask an operator when I'm working on a packaging program with them is, what is your most difficult item on your menu that you send out? Like, what fails when it goes out the door? And, getting operators to even consider some of those complex dishes that they may not be part of their takeout and delivery program.
Yeah.
And I think that, being consultative like that to minimize their pain and their risk is really a good way to kind of build that good trusting partnership with them. There's a lot of things that we say don't transport well, whether it's nachos or French onion soup. We have to be mindful of those things, that not everything gives you that same experience with takeout and delivery that it does at home, in-house. And then also, what are their top 3 priorities? Is sustainability huge on their radar right now? Is it a price point, or is it minimizing any risk of leaks and spills? Because by getting them to put those in order of importance really helps you to navigate to what's going to be the right solution for them. Because not every operator has the same footprint, right? It's a complicated process. We always say that a packaging sale is often 18 months to 2 years. It takes a long time to build a good, effective program for an operator. It's not a quick fix. Yeah.
Sherry, what would you tell operators? Because we've had this discussion a few times. First of all, I just want to say, every time I do something around this subject, when you said complex, Dale, it is, every time I go, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. But every time it's like, it's massive.
Yeah, it is. And to what Dale was talking about finding out from the operator, what are their priorities? What are their stumbling points that they have right now? And getting them to think about the program, the delivery, it's home delivery, assuming it's third-party home delivery. What is the feedback from their guests? What do they hear from their guests about the different menu items that they have? What menu items do they not get a lot of repeat orders on? What menu items do they get some negative feedback on because they're getting it through third-party delivery? Maybe that food item is not in the best container to treat it with, to get it to the guest in their home looking as if it were the same as if they were eating in the restaurant. I have those conversations with operators as well. This is an opportunity for the operator to take a full fresh approach to their packaging program and find out what some of these hot button points are, and actually find a packaging program that will treat their food better so that it will end up to their guests in a better conditions. And at the end of the day, what does every restaurant operator want? Repeat business. So if they've had a bad experience with the takeout food from a restaurant, maybe it's because of the container that food was put in. Maybe it's not the food.
You know what? I've seen it.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen that, Sherry, a lot.
Yeah, we've all had the container and oh, that looks all soggy, mushy. It's an opportunity to
soggy fry.
Rid of the soggy fries. This is an opportunity to improve your takeout packaging program and keep the food that you prepared in your restaurant in the best condition, getting it to their guests so that they'll come back again. We've gone through those scenarios with operators even before this change with the Canadian government, even before the bans, to think about how to get repeat sales. So that's an opportunity to do it, putting a positive spin on it.
Do you think they'll ever kind of, so I just want to rephrase, there's so many questions that are still in my head, but I want to start back. So we go through the ban this year. We work with your companies out there and the manufacturers out there to make sure you have the right products in place. I stopped using some single-use black containers and all those different things that are out there end of December. Come around January, I would assume most people are going to have to redo menu pricing and everything else because there's going to be a cost associated to this out there. I would assume. Would you guys agree? Like, is that something that we're going to have to all understand, that there's going to be a cost on top of the cost we're dealing with right now?
Depending on what they change to. Depending on what they keep on their menu as far as items that go in the to-go or home meal delivery, whatever you want to call it. The costs are definitely higher for the most part, and I'm generalizing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm generalizing here, but there's definitely going to have to be review of menu costs.
Do you think people will do for takeout, it's going to cost you X amount of more because of the containers? Do you think people will separate that from the menu price?
We've seen some of that in some markets, but we've also seen things where there's additional add-ons, because the government in BC introduced 5 days of sick time annually, and operators were putting that as a line item on their bills, opposed to inflating their menu prices. So.
Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah. And, it really depends on what was the operator using before, right? Yeah. There's a reason why operators love to use foam. It was a great insulator. It was easy to handle, and it was at a low price point. However, the other side of that is it's not being recycled and recaptured and reused, and it's all winding up in the landfill. We have run out of space in a lot of our landfills. So are we going to take that and now incinerate it? And what's the net pollution that comes with that? Right. I think, we tend to look at these things from, how does this affect me personally, opposed to, we have to look at the bigger picture. Are we going to leave a better planet for our children and our grandchildren and future generations? And how do we get to that point?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's, as much as it is, difficult to make change and do all these things, and from a cost perspective, but also just now another thing on my plate, it is the right thing to do. And Dale, Sherry, you told me that on the show that we did a while ago, it's the right thing to do. It really is.
And it's baby steps, really.
Yeah.
It's baby steps, because it's the landfills that are getting clogged with this plastic product that's not going to go away. We see images of garbage in the waterways, on beaches.
Yeah.
I was I had the luxury of going to a really nice country last week and on vacation with my husband, and we were walking on a beach, and all these plastic spoons, toothpaste caps, forks, some straws. Straws have been banned there already, but it was all this litter.
Seriously, like litter on the beach. On the beach.
It was shocking because it was this beautiful beach, and we're walking along, and it's like, oh my goodness.
You can see it.
When you see something like that, it really comes home that it's not a made up situation by the government. This is actually happening, and it's pollution. It's polluting the world. So we need to do something about it. And at least there's some baby steps that are happening.
So I have a question before we wrap up here. Just the last question here. Well, it's like, how long does this plastic last? I forgot to ask that question earlier on. Like, does it break down after 100 years, 50 years, 10 years? How long does some of these plastics that they're banning take to decompose, or do they ever?
Well, it really depends on the exposure it has to environmental processes, so whether it's heat and light. The problem with it is as it breaks down into small pieces. And then you hear things like microplastics, even when you go into cosmetics, for a while there, they were putting little beads in your soap to help exfoliate your skin. And that was winding up in our wastewater, and it was getting into the oceans, so those were banned. Now we have to go back to using a washcloth. But
it works, right?
And it works, exactly. That's exactly right.
Remember loofah? And even you think about it, in my generation, we didn't have resin pop bottles. They were all glass.
They were.
And we look at our industry, we removed glass from back of house from a safety perspective. All of the jugs, and now we're looking at things like flexible packaging, and we're looking at fiber boxes that will break down. We're not the only industry that is doing this. You're constantly seeing things like laundry detergent coming in these.
Yes.
I know I recently switched this year to a shampoo bar, so opposed to having a lot of water.
Really?
In a big bottle. Yeah, it comes like a bar of soap. And I love it because when I travel, I can take it with me. I don't have to worry about it in the or anything. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I think there's so many things out there that I think we'll just get adjusted to. It'll be great. But I think we're on the right path. I really do. I know it's tough. It's always tough for operators to make these adjustments, especially big operators and the things they have to go through and consider. And so, like I said earlier, it's every time I do something around this subject, I learn the complexity of it. So first of all, thank you both for jumping on our show today. Let's see if we got a comment here. And just the amount of stuff that I'm learning all the time around this. Thank you both for providing that and to our listeners.
Thank you, Jen. Pleasure.
Awesome. And they can find out more information if you go both to your sites. Other thing I want to just mention on this is work on it now, because I think, Sherry, you told me that before, and I would have guessed Dale saying this is the same thing, is you got to do this now. Get on your plan now. Don't wait till, I'm assuming, like October to do this, because you guys, your phones are going to be lit up by then. Because we know we leave things to the last minute here in our industry. But I'm assuming you're probably telling people do that now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, go now. So there's your homework to all the restaurants out there. Don't wait. Contact your company that you work with and your supplier, and us at Cisco and those companies out there to get on it now. Don't wait, because it's going to take time, and you're going to want to sample stuff and test your food out and do takeout and all these things. So, and it will take some time to get that mindset changed. But thank you both for jumping on our show today, and we're back again tomorrow with Kraft Heinz on SVK. And you guys have a great rest of your day.
You too, Jay. Thank you. Good to see you, Sherry.
Right. See you. Bye.
Yeah.